New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Joy is in the Journey. I'm Gina. I am a practitioner in Rhode Island. So grateful to be here with you today. I am also a life coach and head of Believe in You Today, and I am thrilled as that coaching part of me, as well as, of course, that part of me who's also a ministerial student. I have to tell you, I am thrilled to be here with Rev Dr. Michelle Wadleigh today, our own Jersey girl, as you would know her on New Thought Media Network. She is my guest today, and before I introduce her, I just wanted to talk about what this show is all about. The joy is in the journey is to remind us of just that. We are here to enjoy every day. It's not about destination happiness. It's not, well, when I've achieved this, then I'll be happy. When I have the right mate, when I have the right, when I have the right figure, when I have the right bank account. It's not a destination. The only time we can ever experience joy is right here and right now. So it's up to us to make sure that we're doing and being that joy now. So I ask you, are you happy? And if you're not really experiencing life joyfully, then I would encourage you to pay close attention today, because this is a wonderful opportunity to hear about some different ways to look into. And as I said, I am a life coach, and I have loved workshops and trainings. And this person that I'm about to introduce, when I tell you personally, I have been through 2 days of her workshops and enjoyed every moment. It is a pleasure to have Reverend Dr. Michelle Wadleigh here. She's an inspiring and exciting coach. She is also an author. She's a master teacher, speaker, workshop, and retreat facilitator, and sought after prayer practitioner. Michelle is the co-founder of Planned Happiness Institute and the PHI Coaching Academy with her husband, Reverend Neil Pinkman, who I've also been blessed to take classes with. Michelle founded the Center for Spiritual Living in North Jersey 19 years ago and continues to serve as the spiritual leader and pastor. Michelle's an incredibly unique, practical teacher who's passionate about you mastering a fully expressed life. She's grounded in solid metaphysical principles and brings to her teaching a wide open heart, along with a sense of humor, joyfully demonstrated through her laughter and her engaging style. Her focus as a teacher is empowering others for their own spiritual and emotional liberation through the application of practical tools and methods, including the science of mind. She is a straight shooter who calls things as she sees them, while using her easygoing personal style and I definitely relate to that myself. Michelle brings a wealth of experience from having helped thousands of people to experience great transformation in their lives. Some of the lessons that she brings are everything is consciousness, consciousness first, consciousness always, and there is no other. Being one who continually looks for ways to reach people with this powerful teaching, Michelle also hosts on this network Jersey Girl Wisdom with Reverend Jersey Girl. She has spent years developing her courses on forgiveness and shadow work and so much more. She's the author of 4 books, Prosperous Me, 40 Days to Freedom, and So It Is. And I missed one of them somewhere along the line. And May Silence Be Your Guide. There it is. She has also recorded 2 inspiring CDs, Organic Visioning and I Am Awake. So I am grateful to have this wonderful teacher and sincerely welcome our Reverend Jersey Girl herself.
Well, hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm really good. I'm a little dumbfounded by the length of that bio. I'm going to have to get a shorter one. I thought you were going to pick and choose and not read the whole thing.
I have to tell you, normally I do, but there's so much in it, and I love that you are that straight shooter, and it's important. I want to honor that because it is you. What you see is what you get, and sometimes there's a front on for a lot of people. Sometimes there's a lot of people are one way on Sunday and another way, and you're not. What you see is what you get, and you don't have to like what's being said, but it's honesty. And that's what works, in my opinion. I don't have time to fluff it up and make it pretty for people. If you want change, sometimes the change has to be gritty. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's done with love. So I wanted to make sure it all got out there.
Well, thank you. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me. I'll have to have you at New Time one day, and we'll just make it a Michelle and Gina day.
Absolutely.
Good. Cool.
Martha's saying hello to us both.
Hi, Martha.
Comments here today. Please feel free to let us know that you're here and you're watching. So tell me, I know there's a lot going on in your life, and you still made time for us here today, and I appreciate that. There's so much going on, and and you've done so much. So what I want to start with is, because I know on your show you say some things, but you don't get an opportunity. We don't necessarily talk about ourselves. We talk about whatever the topic is for the day. Yeah. So tell me about your path. How did you get up in ministry?
Oh, well, the truth is, I kind of make fun of myself a little bit, and I know so many ministers, and so many people say, "Oh, they felt the call." I didn't feel any call. I just came in kind of scratching and climbing my way into it. And pretty much what happened was I was just finishing my practitioner work, and I was sitting at the table with my teacher and some other practitioner students, and she announced that she was going to teach a ministerial class. And I thought, I could do that. But it wasn't like this deep spiritual thing. It wasn't. It was just, I didn't have anything else in my life that I wanted to do more than continue to find ways to serve humanity, because that's what I wanted to do. And my first spiritual teacher, who is my beloved, my own little guru, Buddha person, she was the one who said, be a teacher. And so while I might be a minister, I'm a teacher, and that's what matters. And then, I don't know, people love to play with words and tear them down and stuff, but I don't know. I find being a teacher a sacred role. And it's not to take credit over things, it's to spark. I love Rick Tamlin, a gentleman who does a lot of training for coaches and other people, and so the way he holds it, and I just want to give a shout out to him and give credit to him for this. My job is to activate. I can't do anything. We can't do anything for anyone else, but we can activate a thought, first by being it, which is really critical. And so, for me, my spiritual teacher, she passed away without publishing her book. And I didn't want to do that. Now, none of these books that I have are that work. Those are works that I've done for different purposes, But she died with her book in her, and she died without creating a format to replicate herself. Now, believe me, I am not Rita. She was a profoundly sacred, beautiful being. I'm just doing the best I can. But for me, with the Coaching Academy, I want to spark this in others. There is, and since you are a coach, you know this, there's something so satisfying when you say something to someone, when you guide them, when you ask a question and they go, oh, I hadn't thought of that. And that the thinking doesn't stop right there, that the thinking continues. And so I love being part of someone's sacred journey. So my path here was basically born out of, excuse me, my granddaughter walked into the room. I can't talk to you right now, though. You have to stay there. I can't talk to you right now, though, baby girl.
She can say hi.
You want, all right, what? Grandpa will be home in a few minutes. If you want to sit here quietly, you can. Huh? I can't make that happen. If you can make it happen, great. See, this is one of the things that are going on in my life right now. Now, let me tell you something. That little girl is the light of my life. And my daughter-in-law is about to have her third child. So I'm going to have my third grandchild. And they just bought a house. So we had to have the kids today. And my husband, Neil, Reverend Neil, is picking up my grandson in a few minutes. So this is part of what the chaos that it's good chaos.
It's real life.
This is good. Yes.
It's real life, and that's a blessing.
Real life is messy.
Well, it's not even messy. It's just part of the, because there's nothing missing. That's the beauty of it. It's all inclusive. And it's not about departmentalizing. When we've been home for the past year and a half, nothing was departmentalized. Everything was, right here and now. So I appreciate, that you're here with me regardless of. I also want to go back to, when you were talking about writing that book and that your mentor, Rita, I think Rita was, I love Wayne Dyer's quote was, don't die with the music still in you. Yeah. And whatever it is that's yours to do, there's something on your heart. And it's important because I believe that that's part of the anxiety or the fear or the depression that people experience is when they're not doing what their soul knows they need to. And even if you don't know what that is, whatever makes you happy is the right direction. So if something brings something out of you, like you said, you couldn't think of anything you wanted to do more. You don't have to be excited. There doesn't have to be a light in the. For me, I never expected any of it, and I was at the end of Prac 2, and as we visioned for our ministry, there wasn't a question, and I immediately went from one to the other. So it was one you don't necessarily need to know till you know. And it's doing the next right thing. And sometimes that next right thing is finding a coach or speaking to a minister or a practitioner. Because sometimes I love visioning with people. Because when you're not sure, who better to ask than spirit? Mm-hmm. Go to the source. And sometimes it feels like we can't get ourselves out of the way. Well, how do I know it's not what I'm saying and it's what spirit wants?
Right.
Well, then vision with someone so you can, allow someone else to ask the questions. Go to a practitioner, or
I want to just share a quick story that when 20 years ago, so I was a staff minister for a year, but there was just this urge. I wanted to do ministry full time. That's what it was, and we didn't have the budget in the ministry where I was. We didn't have the budget to pay me full time. I was getting a stipend, which was fine. No complaints. But I wanted more. I had a child. He was 3 or 4 at the time. No one ever told me you might not want to open a new ministry with a baby. No one told me that, and yet it was probably the best thing ever, because talk about having to not compartmentalize and to do it all. But anyway, so what happened was I had some people who were interested in my ministry, and so we started visioning every week for, I don't know, 8 months, 9 months, every week except for certain holidays. And I'm telling you, the day we opened to now a lot of well-wishers. I'm not trying to say that they all stayed, but we opened to 125 people. And it was amazing. And people were finding us from places that I don't even know how they found us. We didn't have a location. We were a church in a box. And so people were just finding us, and it was all from visioning. And so visioning is definitely a creative tool that truly needs to be satisfied.
And you can do it on a personal life too. That's the other thing to realize, is that we have the opportunity to have someone vision with us for us. It's something a lot of people don't think about, right. But it's getting us out of the way so that we can then be in that place to really, what does spirit want? What does spirit see? And it's so much bigger than ours. And it's, it's wonderful in a ministry, but it's also wonderful individually.
Well, and I see, so for anybody listening who maybe doesn't have a spiritual practice or a visioning practice, I want to say that it could be as simple as what I call living in the question. It's all about just living in the question. So, I might say to myself, well, what do I want to do next? And then I just live in that question, which means I don't force an answer. I don't try to manipulate anything. I just live in that space. And that's just another simpler way of doing it for those of you who maybe you don't have visioning experience,
That's true. I always forget that there's a lot of people that don't necessarily know what visioning is. So I do want to mention, yes, it's asking the question and being open to whatever comes.
Right.
And and on this network, we actually I believe it's either Monday through Wednesday of the spiritual practices. So I know Reverend Robert goes through them all. So go take a look at newthoughtmedia.org, and you can look at the calendar. Right, and Monday through Wednesday, the spiritual practices, and he takes you through visioning. So I do encourage you to, if that's something that you're interested in, that can also help. But so you ended up as a minister, and had you been coaching all along at that point?
Well, I actually became a coach. I just got to tell you this, just because this is amusing. And if anybody listening thinks you can't do it all, au contraire. I had my son. I was working full time I was working in sales and trucking in the trucking industry. I was completing my practitioner studies, which I was at the very tail end of that, into my ministerial studies, and up pops this coaching program. And I had my first computer, my gateway computer, and I had my brand new, AOL account, back in the day of You've Got Mail, and used to have profiles. And I put in the profile, before knowing that it was truly a profession, I put in the profile that I was a life coach. And then all of a sudden, someone doing some research, they found me. And then I found out about the program, and I'd be honest with you, I paid twice as much for the coaching program than I did for my ministerial program. And now it's IPAC. It's IPAC coaching is what it is. And it's one of the largest in the world. And Bruce Schneider and I, became friends and I took his program. I was in the first class and, so I've stayed connected to him over the years. But what happened was becoming a coach made me a better minister and it made me a better teacher. And the thing about a coach is that a coach believes in your inner essence, your perfection, which is a complete complement to being a practitioner, which is completely birthed from science of mind and being a metaphysician. So when you really believe in someone's perfection and all you're doing is kind of trying to pull on the thread so it unravels and shows itself, then, that's what that was. So yeah, I became a practitioner, a coach, a minister. It felt like within days of each other. Of course not, but that's what it felt like. And I'll tell you, my first day, I was supposed to teach my first Science of Mind class, and it was scheduled, I think, for a Tuesday on 9/11. And I had a huge class. And it was like, oh no, this is going to be baptism by fire. And sure enough, I canceled the class and turned the night into a prayer vigil. And suddenly I was thrust into the reality of holding the space of light and love. And while I was surrounded, and I of myself were, it was a scary time. Anybody who lived up in this area, if you're from the Northeast, especially, we felt it harder than the rest of the country because at one point, as not to bring up the old story, but a little, excuse me 1 second, shut that off. At one point, excuse me 1 second. Sorry, getting a phone call in the middle of all of this. Hold on 1 second. And so what happened was, it was just a scary time, and I had to totally, completely support these people while being in that fear myself. It was really scary. It was really completely scary.
And the gift in it is to know that we can admit to being scared. There's no reason, I don't have to be anything that I'm not. That spirit is giving me the words, spirit is guiding me. And for me, my husband keeps saying, but don't you already haven't you already done? For me, I started out as, I've been doing workshops and trainings, became a life coach, and then I've had over, I think it's 11 years now for Believe in You Today is my business. So he's like, and then I started Practitioner. He's like, okay. And then I said, well, now is ministry. He's like, but haven't you done? I'm like, everything has led me to exactly where I am. And you're right. It's just a different way of practicing it. And the gift is we can take the best of every aspect of it and use all of that in different ways. And it's seeing, my personal mission statement is to shine my light so brightly it reminds others of their own.
Right.
So it's being able to shine my light as that candle lighting other candles.
Right.
And that's what we do when we talk about joy, is that it's out there, but it's not out there, it's out in here. So the question is, are you looking in the wrong place? Because out there, meaning, yes, everyone can have it, but it's always within here. And our teachings are a wonderful tool to help us do that in different ways. So for me, I know it's being led to the next right thing, and saying yes, regardless of how it seems in the moment.
Yeah. I've developed a number of courses that I really feel good about. And now I use it in all the courses, but very spontaneously one day when working with a class filled with people, I'm going to put my headphones on here.
While you're doing that, I just want to say this is Planned Happiness Institute. I wanted you to, make sure you talk about that. Is that where the classes are?
I'm sorry, Gina. I so apologize.
No worries. Was the Planned Happiness Institute? Is that where you're?
Yes. Well, I do these classes. God bless Jim Stark from Spirit Education. I do them in my own center which is the CSL North Jersey, and then of course, yes, there we are, a proud member of CSL. We of course that's a stock photo, of course.
I know, but I love it so much. I have it up there. Yeah,
well, we are an absolute beautiful community, a diverse community. We are. It's a wonderful, beautiful place to be. But the thing that came out one day in the middle of teaching was this mantra that there is no outside and there is no other. And we use that as a chant sometimes, and I've done that even at the center. And if you really get that, folks, if you really get there is no outside, there is no other, and you stay dedicated to that idea, life is juicy, because you can't do anything about what's outside. You can only do what's inside. And that's the truth.
Yes. And I love that. And I also have to add to that is there's no against. There's no against. When I hear myself speaking in any way, I have to know that it's a reminder of, what is my place here? What is my choice here? And for me, like I do the Peace Circle on Monday nights. And the reason that I do these shows is because, the Peace Circle, of course I want more peace in the world, but I didn't know what that was growing up. I want more joy. How do you get there? So these are roadmaps to experience more of what I choose. And that's why. So Monday night, how do you be the change you wish to see in the world when you don't know how?
Right.
How do you find joy if you're not in that place? It's nice to say, well, do things that make you happy. But if you aren't finding it and you're not experiencing it, it's not about out there. So it's finding the conversation or the right, and sometimes it's just that right explanation or that right tool to click things in a way that you just hadn't noticed it before.
Right. And so I want to offer you one other little thing to just exactly what you said, that there is no against. So I have these presuppositions I use with all my classes. You might even have it from the time I taught the workshop up in Rhode Island. And I don't remember the number on the list of presuppositions, but it's no one is against you, even if they think they are. And then all of a sudden, when you add that, it's like, oh, wait, what do you mean? Now that's a big ask. That's a big ask.
And the one can't fight against itself.
Yeah, and there's certainly a lot of appearance, and sometimes I think metaphysicians, I think we have to be careful. Like, for example, even the thing I just said, I would not. I mean, yes, I just said it on public radio, but the fact remains, you got to be careful where you say these things, because to say that out loud in the face of the racism that we're dealing with in this country. So we have to be careful how we hold things. We really do. To say there's only one while there is this horrific evidence to the contrary, we have to pay attention to both sides of that, right?
Yes, it's honoring everyone in their experience without a question. I don't deny anyone's experience by any means. When we're saying that, we're definitely not. We're not saying that there's not room for improvement in every aspect of what we see, but in truth, everything we have is within us, and there is only love. whether or not I'm seeing that, witnessing it, or it is being exhibited, there's still that love is there. So it's trying to see past the stuff and live in the truth. And not spiritual bypass. That's definitely not, it's not about denying it. We were talking about something before we came on air, and one of the things, you're like, well, make sure you honor how you're feeling. Mm-hmm. And I said, I've spoken to several ministers and practitioners around it. I did my work around this subject because I know I needed to. Mm-hmm. And we had that conversation in the matter of 30 seconds, pretty much, because there's truth to emotions. And it's one thing to say all is well, but if you're not experiencing that, that's not the answer either. It's honoring where I am and always reaching for more or better, or choosing truth through it all. But I have to heal that, or I'm going to end up getting sick. That, there's a dis-ease there. Plus, it's also, we have to be mindful. I agree with you that there's a lot on that we're hearing or seeing or witnessing that does seem against. So we are that social justice. We are standing up for what is important. Just as you on that day of 9/11 stood up and held vigil and acknowledged fear in the moment, acknowledged how awful it was on every level. And at the end of the day, spirit is still spirit, and there is good here too. And that's a hard thing to say in the midst of pain. But I know in my life, some of the darkest days were the greatest teachers.
I think that, can you hear me okay? Because there's some vacuuming going on behind me and all sorts of stuff going on. Life is happening all around me. So I want to tie together what you're saying with where I think we've progressed in this teaching, because if you ask me how I am, and I'm a new student, and I call them the new mind. I'm a new mind, and you say, "How are you?" And I say, "I'm fine." And I say that because I think you want me to be positive and you want me to be happy because I'm supposed to be that way, right? There's a good chance there's some bypass going on there because I'm trying to perform in the way as expected. But if you ask me now, 30 years into what I'm doing, you say, "How are you?" And with all the chaos and my granddaughter and the noise in the background and not being in my home and all the stuff, and you say, "Are you fine? How are you?" And I say, "I'm fine." It's a different fine because I know that the power and the presence and the love of the one truly exist as me. So I think where we have finally closed that gap is in recognizing, and Holmes was not dancing around this stuff. Holmes spoke about the psychology, and he spoke about how we have to heal the emotions and how things left impact and imprints in our subconscious. And so I think now finally there's a greater acceptance about the conversations of shadow and forgiveness and all of that. Because while I'm trying to be the best happy, positive metaphysician I can be, I also have to be healed. And so for me to experience with great commitment to what you're saying, I have to make sure I've walked that path. And I think that we're finally closing that gap in this teaching between between saying all is good, but then knowing all is good because I am good and I deserve and I am willing, but from a deeply emotional place of wholeness and health. I'm going to close my door. I will be right back to you.
No problem. So I am thrilled that we're having this conversation. I think that it is so important to be in a place of looking at life honestly, being in this space of honestly looking at what is there and being a source of light for people that need it. It being that open door and honest conversation, and being able to have the hard conversations when need be, and allowing what needs to come up to be revealed and healed. And on that note, I'm going to switch a little bit. I would love to know how this past year and a half has affected you in this time that we're in, as far as, the COVID experience and what that meant, and being a minister online as opposed to in person. And what, are you back yet in person?
You really want to go here, huh?
Well, yes, because it's part of how we're reemerging in life, not just in centers, but reemerging in life. So what has that been like for you? What's your experience with it? Because you've done a lot. You've channeled a lot of good out of it. Your coaching institute, things have happened.
I'm gonna say to you, COVID has been good to me, and somebody might not be happy that I said that, but COVID has been good to me. Number one, I'm an introvert. Tell me I don't have to go out of my house for anything unless I really want to. I'm a happy woman. So doing this the way I've done it, I missed the hugging. I missed the live music. I missed a lot. But I have to be honest, I was okay with being dressed from the waist up and doing church services. Okay. My husband and I opened a 501c3, the Planned Happiness Institute. I started the coaching academy. We bought a house. I am somebody, and I just wrote a blog about this. And if anybody wants to see it, it's on my Rev Jersey Girl page, and it's on my PHI site, and it's called Coming Out of COVID. And the fact is, I know that I've annoyed a lot of people, and so is my husband. And the annoyance came out of because we just were not willing to ring the fear bell. We weren't.
There's some different websites down the bottom.
Okay.
Planned Happiness, and for CSL. CSLNJ.org for your center, and MichelleWadleigh.com. So just so people know that those are down there.
Yeah, thank you.
Please go back to the fear, not ringing the fear bell. I love that.
I just wouldn't do it. And when Carolyn Mace, there's a couple different people I could speak to that created references, but Carolyn Mace back in early. Martha just read my blog.
She said she loves that I'm asking that. She said she really wants you to go there. That's great.
So Carolyn Mace speaks, she did this whole thing on tribes and how tribal we are. And we all belong to multiple tribes. You and I belong to the tribe of women. We belong to the tribe of white people. We belong to the tribe of metaphysicians. And then there are families or tribes. And then there are certain cultures that are much more tribal in their expectations. For example, now I'm going to be totally stereotyping here, but for the point of the conversation, it's tribal for an Italian family to keep secrets. In an Italian family, you don't tell your business outside the family, right? My third son is half Puerto Rican, so there's a Puerto Rican tribe, and I had to learn how to behave and get accepted in that tribe when, of course, I was in relationship with his father. And so what happens is we are tribal people. And this is not unlike Don Miguel Ruiz's conversation around domestication. And so when we are looking for agreement, and we want people to agree because in agreement we think we're stronger, then what happens is we invite people in, and then we applaud them for being part of the tribe. But what happens is when you don't want to be part of the tribe, it can be very contrary, very contrary. And so while my husband and I were my family tribe, my private family tribe, which was my one son was still living in my house at the time. My other son with his wife lived across the street with my 2 grandchildren. And then the other neighborhood families, well, we just never hid from each other. We were very much in each other's company throughout COVID. So not for a second did I stay in my house and avoid people. And I caught a lot of criticism because of that. My husband and I, except once they opened restaurants, the moment they opened restaurants, we were there. Now, it might have been outside dining, but we did that. We caught a lot of criticism. We did many things that were born out of our faith and who we are that we caught a lot of stuff about. So my 3 sons, my grandchildren, and a few others, close people, and my husband and I, we had our own little tribe that just stayed safe. Now, we didn't stay safe, though, because we avoided, which was I'm telling you, and the question everybody likes to throw in my face, well, what about science? Don't you believe in science? Yeah, I'm a metaphysician. I believe in beyond the physical. I believe in science plus. Now, I don't want anybody else to follow me. You can't just be that way. You know, it's not that. But COVID was good to me, and it developed my faith and my conviction greater than anything ever before it, ever. And I developed a coaching program, and I've kept teaching, and we've come out of it, and I didn't have to spend a year in fear.
I think
that's what mattered.
Yes. And I think that there is good that will come out in many ways. And as long as you weren't in the fear of it, you have a choice, fear or faith. That's all we ever have, you know. And the fear is just, the faith is always there. It's just the blocking of it. Light is always there. It's just whether or not we're blocking it.
Right.
You know, just like the clouds may block the sun, but it is always there.
Right.
Even at nighttime, the sun doesn't move. It's us that's moved. Right. So it's that awareness that many people blocked, whether it was conscious or subconscious, and it was very easy to get caught up in the story of it. And, you know, I don't think that we are here to preach or expect anyone to do it our way.
Absolutely.
All we know is our own experience.
Right.
And it's not about judging, you know, preferably not judging us or anyone else. It's simply about how did you show up and what did it look like for you? So that was your experience, and it was another choice. And as we reemerge, it's the same opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, and I go to a group that is primarily seniors, and, you know, honestly, 70s, 80s seniors. And I'm often the youngest in the room. And I walk into a room of 20 people, and none of them had masks, and everyone was thrilled to be there. And it was just, I walked in with the mask out of all of these, and, you know, it was, and I know they all just hid for a year and a half, and they felt safe. But it was just, it's funny because you don't know how anyone feels. It's important to ask. And
but just to let you know, we wore masks when we were supposed to, and we did all the publicly, you know.
Yes.
I wasn't trying to be in anybody's face about it.
You practiced safety. It was just but you didn't experience the fear of it, which is beautiful. And that's what it comes down to, you know. It's doing the best we can to practice, you know, these teachings in a way that is both, yes, we're mindful to what's around us, but not being captured by the outside world either. So there's a fine line between the two. And yes, there's a lot that came out of it. A lot of centers that would have never gone online did. There were there's so many classes to be taught, and you can take a class anywhere now, between workshops, and people that never knew what Zoom was can now fluent. It can be on anything, anywhere. And what a gift. I mean, I know our center as well, as part of Concordia in Rhode Island, grew we actually grew our membership.
Well,
and did
Reverend
well.
Alan Vukas, who's a friend, and I'll just do a shout out to him.
Yes.
He's just brilliant with all the technology and all that stuff. He's brilliant, So I am not surprised at all that you guys grew, and I kind of watched it happening with some awe. It was a beautiful thing.
And that we had morning calls. We're closer than we were before. We continue the morning call. It's from 7 to 8 every morning, where we do meditation, visioning, and a daily reading, and then we do treatment. So we're using our spiritual practices as a community, which is what it's all about. So we get an opportunity to create something new and wonderful.
Yep.
Because of something that didn't show up that way.
Right.
We always get those opportunities. And I'm glad to hear that you too, this network had just begun around that. It just started like a month before everything hit.
Yeah, I don't even know how I got in here, but Reverend Robert asked, and I thought, oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
And here we are. And it's, a year later, it has grown unbelievably with the amount of programming that's on here, which is wonderful. And that's something that just continues to grow. But I want you to tell me, because of course time is flying, tell me a little more about your coaching institute. What is PHI Coaching Academy? What's that all about? I know because I had gone to your information session. I definitely look forward to doing, to knowing more about it, but please share with people.
Well, PHI stands for Planned Happiness Institute. And the Coaching Academy is the thing that we're so new. We are so new and so fresh, but not new at all in the teaching, and not new in my, 20 plus years as a coach, and my husband's many years, 20 or 25 years as a coach. And then we have the Reverend Dr. Barry Fleet on staff, and he's been a coach for many years. And so we have lots of coaches with many years experience. I am the primary teacher of the programs at this time. The one thing I want to tell you or anybody listening who might be interested, there's just no way I am going to put my stamp of approval upon anyone unless they really take on the practice of being the product. They are required before they sign up for the program, depending on, we have 2 programs at this time. If they sign up for the forgiveness program, they have to do 2 rounds of forgiveness courses that I teach, plus the shadow course. Both of those courses, which is for me my best work, are born out of the science of mind. It's not a bait and switch class. So that when you're, yes.
So I just want to show real quick.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up. For those of you that are interested, I want you to know you can reach, go right on Facebook and find out more information. It's the PHI, is it Coaching Academy, right? That's what it's on.
But it's also Reverend Jim Stark at the Spirit Education, Dash Education. But on my Facebook pages, you'll see links to all of these. I mean, because what happens is practitioners and ministers and counselors come in there and we meet them at the level of the professional that they are. But what happens is we incorporate aspects of training that include the subconscious and to create change from the whole being. And so the coaches have to go through that. The coaches have to find their equilibrium. I am not a coaching school where I'm just going to send somebody through the classes, put my stamp on them and send them out. They must be the product. And that is that we're doing an inside out job, and that there is no outside and there is no other. Absolutely.
Hurt people, and heal people. So if we're not healing our hurts, then what are we doing?
Right. Absolutely. And I watch the work, and I watch the students in the program, and it's just watching them get it alone is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
And I wanted to make sure people knew how to get a hold of you as well. So this is...
Well, I'm Rev Jersey Girl. If I'm at revjerseygirl@gmail.com. If you have any questions, or if I can support you as a coach, if I can support someone as a practitioner. You know, the other day, and I just want to say, I want to give a little plug to practitioners in the science of mind, which you are. When Christian Science started, and for many years now, maybe it's lightened up a little bit. I haven't checked on it in a while, but for many years, in order to be a Christian Science practitioner, you had to be a practitioner only. You were not allowed to have a job and do that. It wasn't ever going to be treated like an afterthought. And when I heard about that, I was blown away. Now, I also don't have that expectation the way life is at this time, but I want to say to everyone, using a practitioner, maybe if you need to, in conjunction with a doctor, but even using a practitioner, even before you call a doctor, is truly the thing to do. I had someone the other day who had a diagnosis from a doctor for something that was going on in their lives. And all I did was redirect their attention. I just reframed and took the authority away from the diagnosis. I didn't tell them to do anything different. I'm too smart to do that. But I asked them to would you consider this possibility, and in addition to what you're doing with the doctor? And it was amazing what happened for this person and how they walked away feeling. It was absolutely amazing.
Well, that's the healing in itself.
Yes,
sometimes it takes what it takes. And, even the worst of experiences can be for the right reasons. I know without a doubt in my mind, without my experience of cancer, I'd have never been in ministerial school. Mm-hmm. I had 2 major surgeries, which knocked me out of my world and all that I had been doing, and made me stop and made me ask for help, forced me to do the things that were most uncomfortable because I had no choice. Suddenly everything, and then I had to heal the consciousness of even being resentful of having to do all of that. So there's a lot of healing and revealing that happens even in the midst of what seems like the worst. I would never be on the path that I am or who I am if that didn't happen. And all the consciousness, I was so certain that I had been healed. I was so certain I had the surgeon check. Literally I wouldn't sign off unless he checked first to make sure, because I was sure it was going to be gone by then. And I woke up the next morning, I had to have the surgery. But literally within 5 minutes, Dr. Reverend Barry Fleet was in my room saying, I thought you might need me, knowing that you had to have the surgery. I thought you might need me. Within 5 minutes, he didn't know timing. It was the next day. I had been out all night, but within 5 minutes, he showed up. So spirit works in amazing ways. Sometimes we walk through the ugly so that we can see the beauty. Like you say, no mud, no lotus. But sometimes it has to be revealed, however it has to happen. Sometimes the divorce is so that you get that perfect mate. Sometimes that the flood in the house is so that you end up with a new home, more amazing than you ever imagined for yourself. So sometimes the worst happens for the best. And we don't get to that thinking, into that consciousness overnight. No, that's a development. That takes sessions. That takes sitting with a minister. That takes sitting with a practitioner. Even as a practitioner, like I said, I did my work before. Because that's what it's all about. Is the work doesn't end because the living is still going on. Right. There is no done. So when the glass looks mucky, it's up to me to clarify it. And only I can do that. Only we, the individual, can do, okay, so if I'm experiencing something other than clarity and beauty, it's time for me to fix my eyes.
Right,
That's my term that I love is, spirit, fix my eyes, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not what's out there. It's always the eyes I'm seeing through that I have the opportunity to clarify.
Right. Beautiful.
And I know we're running low. I can't believe it's already over at the time that it is. If there's one thing you want people to know, just personally, if there's one thing that you can leave them with, one tidbit that is important to you.
Easy. I beg you, if you're listening, to never again criticize yourself for anything. To never again judge yourself. Now, if you can carry that to another, great. That would be my preference. I beg you to never again criticize yourself or criticize another.
Beautiful.
Ever. You don't deserve it. You don't need to. The world is hard enough. Be your own best friend around every corner. Around absolutely every corner.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. And Reverend Jersey Girl Wisdom, I love that. Can you tell us your show? What is the format of it? And just so people can, if they can't see,
it's kind of like this.
p.m. Mountain Time or noon Eastern Time. So you just missed it this afternoon, but I watched the replay, so can you. So go back and take a look, and you can go back either to newthoughtmedia.org, ntmedia.org, and take a look at them, or you can go right on the page, right? Jersey Girl page on Facebook?
I think so. Some of them. I haven't brought them all over. Some of them. Yeah, I guess I really should do that. That's pretty funny. I guess I should. But yeah, the format, sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's serious. We've had conversations around, dark, the deep of racism. And then we've had conversation about food. We've been through all of it. The Jersey Girl Wisdom, the name is just because of somebody, me coming out of the state that so many people think is the armpit of the country. And yet, Jersey people love New Jersey, and I certainly do. And we're feisty. I love being feisty.
Absolutely. And I just want to make sure that goes up there one more time. And I want to thank you for being here. It has been wonderful, and I have to have you back here for some more wonderful, joyful conversation. It has been a gift, and enjoy all the stuff, all the life that's going on.
Oh my God, I apologize for all the confusion earlier, but they are the light of my life. And once I'm done here today, we get to see them. And soon I'll be holding my third grandchild. So all bets are off about what I'll be doing.
Many blessings to all of you, including that wonderful mom and baby, knowing all is already well. That is.
Thank you.
And you got wonderful conversation.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Martha. And thank you for being here, all of you.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much. And I know that I will see you again soon.
We'll see you soon.
Workshop, or, please check out your page. If you can, what is your page on, how do they look you up on Facebook?
Rev Jersey Girl.
Beautiful.
Made it easy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a
Be well,
wonderful
everyone.
day. And thank you all for being here with me. I appreciate it. I again want to thank Rev Robert for ntmedia.org. The fact that we are here and it is a platform of good news. There is wonderful news here to share. Please take a look at some old episodes of all different shows. There is good here. Take a look when you can. And if you please know that I am here. I would love any comments, any suggestions for a show, or any questions that you may have on anything that you had heard or from any of the guests. Please know that I am here both as a practitioner, as a coach, and in any way that I can. So thank you for being here. And the last thing that I wanted to share with you is I have an announcement that I'd love to make. I was part of the reemergence team. Many of our centers are opening back up again. And there's a homecoming this coming Sunday. It's June 6th at 10 a.m. If you're in the Boston area, this is the information, but you can reach out to me as well. By all means, we would love for you to be with us in person. So again, it is the Greater Boston Center for Spiritual Healing, Greater Boston, and we'd love for you to join us at 10 a.m. So for all of the centers that are reemerging, it is wonderful to be back seeing everyone again. For those of you that are online, thank you for being here. And however it is that you're watching, please know that we are here because of what you've given to the network. So ntmedia.org is for any donations, anything that you have that you can circulate back. Please tell people all about us and let people know that there is good news out there. Make sure that you take a look at our own Jersey girl, Rev Michelle, and take a look at her workshops, which are absolutely amazing and available. And keep in your joy. Know that you get a choice in every day of how you experience life. And this is for you. And I am for you, as I know Spirit is for you. So knowing that love, knowing that joy, I am so grateful for you. Blessings and love. Have a wonderful day.